Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the future of our planet's oceans, a future that is absolutely hanging in the balance.
For millions of years, these incredible, fast ecosystems have been the lifeblood of our planet. They regulate our climate, they sustain countless forms of life. They're basically the engine room of the world. But here's the thing. Today, that vital system is under an immense amount of pressure from a whole range of threats, and nearly all of them are driven by us, by human activity.
So, to really understand what's at stake here, let's break down the 5 most critical threats that are putting our oceans in serious peril.
Now you have to understand, these 5 threats, warming, acidification, plastic, overfishing, and habitat loss, they aren't just happening in a vacuum. No, they're all deeply connected, creating this really dangerous domino effect that's rippling across the entire marine world. All right, first up, let's talk about rising temperatures. For decades, our oceans have been acting like this giant sponge, just absorbing the vast majority of the excess heat that's trapped in our atmosphere. But that sponge, well, it's pretty much reaching its limit.
And you can see this domino effect in action. Warming isn't just a single problem. It kicks off a whole cascade of consequences, from beautiful coral reefs bleaching and dying, to storms getting way more powerful, to the creation of these huge underwater dead zones where basically nothing can survive.
Okay, next, there's a quieter, more silent threat that's totally changing the water's chemistry: ocean acidification. You see, just like the oceans absorb heat, they also soak up a massive amount of our carbon dioxide emissions.
And this has a direct chemical impact. As the ocean absorbs all that CO2, it literally becomes more acidic. This change makes the water corrosive. It actually starts dissolving the shells of creatures like mussels and oysters, the very base of the food web, and it makes coral skeletons incredibly weak and fragile.
Now let's switch to a problem that's much more visible, one you've definitely seen before: plastic pollution. We're talking millions and millions of tons of plastic waste pouring into our oceans every single year.
And this plastic, it doesn't just go away. It travels on currents for thousands of miles, choking marine life. And over time, it breaks down into these tiny, dangerous little bits called microplastics that get eaten by everything, from the smallest plankton to the biggest whales. And that introduces toxic stuff into the food web that, you guessed it, eventually finds its way right back to us.
Overfishing. This is another massive issue. To put it simply, we are taking fish out of the ocean way faster than they can reproduce. We're weakening the ocean's own ability to just replenish itself.
And this isn't just about us running out of a food source. It's so much bigger than that. By removing key species, we are literally pulling threads from this incredibly complex tapestry, causing the entire marine food web to just start unraveling.
And finally, we're losing the very nurseries of the ocean. The most vital, most productive marine habitats on the entire planet are being systematically destroyed. Think of these places, mangroves, seagrass beds, coral reefs, as the rainforests of the sea. They're the foundation for everything. So when these crucial areas disappear, the countless species that depend on them for food, for shelter, for breeding, they just vanish right along with them.
So, after seeing the scale of all these problems, I know it's really easy to feel overwhelmed. But here's the crucial point. It is not too late to act. A global response is already underway, and we can turn the tide.
One of the most powerful tools we have is creating these designated safe havens called Marine Protected Areas, or MPAs. Think of them like national parks, but for the ocean. They're places where things like fishing and development are restricted, giving these ecosystems a real chance to recover and thrive again.
So where are we at right now? Well, about 8% of the world's oceans are under some kind of protection. Now, that's a start, for sure, but it's not nearly enough to safeguard the entire system.
Which brings us to the big global goal. The ambition is huge: to protect 30% of our oceans by the year 2030. People call it the 30 by 30 initiative, and it's an absolutely critical target for securing the future of marine life.
Now, beyond just protected areas, global efforts are focused on 3 other key fronts. First, making fishing sustainable by setting smart, science-based limits. Second, tackling plastic pollution right at the source. And third, and this is the big one, cutting our carbon emissions to fight both warming and acidification. It's pretty simple. Less carbon means healthier oceans.
So all of this, the threats, the science, the solutions, it brings us to a really critical crossroads, not just for the future of our oceans, but for ourselves.
The science gives us 2 very clear and very different paths forward. On one path, we act decisively.
We cut emissions, we protect key habitats, we manage our resources wisely, and we give the ocean a chance to recover. On the other path, we just continue with business as usual, and that leads to a future with oceans that are hot, acidic, and pretty much empty.
At the end of the day, the health of our oceans tomorrow depends entirely on the decisions that we all make today. The choice is ours. And that is the fundamental question we all have to answer, not just for the oceans, but for every generation that comes after us. So what will we choose?